everywhere around the world.
Did you guys hear that American Idol is back? How can you not? They've been advertising it fucking everywhere for weeks now. Even somebody like myself who doesn't watch a lot of TV knows that fucking American Idol is back. I was at the goddamn grocery store the other day, right? And they were advertising American Idol over their speaker system. This grocery store, they only ever play adult, alternative, contemporary music from the 90s and advertisements for their own store. But somehow, American Idol snuck on there. But if you're out there wondering, but Matt, what even is American Idol? Then you must be cuddling up with Patrick Star every night considering the rock you've been living under your whole life. But if you don't know, American Idol is a long-running reality singing competition where the winner gets a record contract. It started in 2002 at the beginning of the reality TV era and was one of the biggest things in the world for a while. But as time went on, people started to care less and less, mostly because it just didn't matter. Beyond Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, and a handful of short-lived careers from a few others, how many American Idol winners can you actually even name? Do you know what Taylor Hicks is up to these days? The only reason anybody ever watched was to see those terrible auditions during the first few episodes.
What is up with Austin, man?
Couple that with the fact that it started to face stiffer competition with shows like The Voice and America's Got Talent getting big, American Idol decided to end its run in 2016 after crowning some guy you've never heard of as the final winner. At least it would have if ABC didn't pick it back up not even 2 years later. Yeah, the lovely folks at Disney, who is ABC's parent company by the way, have resurrected the still rotting corpse of American Idol because they will do anything to capitalize on your nostalgia, even if what they're bringing back hasn't been gone long enough to be nostalgic. I have houseflies in my kitchen that have been alive longer than American Idol was gone. With a property as big as American Idol, of course it had about 1 million tie-ins. Board games, a terrible movie, an admittedly ambitious theme park attraction, and of course, video games. And since American Idol is back and really, really wants me to know that it's back, I've decided to take a look at an American Idol video game. Now, not one of the karaoke-style American Idol video games, that would make too much sense. I'm taking a look at American Idol on the Game Boy Advance. Yep. This is real. This is an actual thing that actually happened. This game was released back in 2003 and was developed by Mobius Entertainment, developers of such masterpieces as Bionicle the Game and Barbie's Horse Adventures Blue Ribbon Race. So, you know we're in for something good. Actually, there is a slight chance it might be good. See, Mobius Entertainment was eventually bought up by Rockstar Games and became Rockstar Leeds. They helped port a bunch of popular Rockstar games to various consoles and handhelds, and even worked on a few of their handheld outings like Chinatown Wars. But that was after they more or less restaffed the entire team, so I'm not holding my breath here. Alright, let's get this over with. Let's do the competition mode first, because after all, we are here to be the next American Idol. Oh wow, a character creator. I gotta be honest, I'm kinda shocked to see this. I mean, it makes sense. You're supposed to be the one competing, so you should be able to design your own avatar. But I didn't expect that kind of effort from American Idol, the video game. Not that it's a very good character creator. There's like 8 hairstyles and a handful of outfits. They all look terrible. Look at their faces. They look like some kind of early Newgrounds animation character. Anyway, I don't want to have to spend any longer on this game than I have to, so this looks enough like me, I guess. Let's get started. Looks like we get to pick our first song here, and again, I am surprised. These are like actual songs. I expected some kind of public domain shit, or maybe just a terribly written original song. The fact that they even bothered to license songs by the Beatles and Gloria Gaynor is even more credit than I would have given them like 5 minutes ago. I'm sure they're terrible cover versions of said songs, but at least they're there.
So you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face.
Okay, maybe I wish they weren't there. Holy crap. This is the worst sounding thing I have ever heard.
Walk out the door, just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore.
I understand the Game Boy Advance is not capable of the greatest audio quality. I wouldn't have even attempted to put songs with actual vocals on the GBA personally, but even beyond that, this is some of the worst singing I have ever heard. It's so pitchy and off-key.
I've got all my life to live. I've got all my love.
This is the kind of singing that wouldn't even make it past auditions on the show, let alone potentially win. And I thought maybe it was just because I was doing poorly at the game. I can't say I really care enough to get good at American Idol and the GBA, but no! He sounds like this even when you're doing well.
And we'll get it right with the fight.
All they do when you're sucking is add some sort of warbling effect to make his voice sound even more pitchy.
Come on, let me entertain you.
Thankfully, each of the 20 songs lasts less than a minute each, which is basically an act of mercy because if I had to listen to this tone-deaf kookaburra any longer, I might actually rip my ears off. This guy makes Jason Derulo sound angelic, and that guy sounds like a whistling tea kettle. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they just stuck the mic in front of one of the coders for the game and asked him to sing whatever random pop songs he knew in order to avoid having to pay for an actual vocal talent. Man, I feel like one of the judges on the show talking shit about this kind of stuff, but it really is some of the worst singing I've ever heard anywhere. Speaking of judges, part of the reason American Idol got as big as it did was because of its charismatic cast of judges. There's the forever optimistic and possibly high on Xanax 80s pop queen Paula Abdul.
That's the kind of song, though, that you don't have to push on. Well, no pun intended.
The Yo Dog That Was Dope record producer Randy Jackson.
Whoever ain't sung or sung last night or whatever, yo, that's the one to beat right there. That was hot. That was fire right there.
And the world's favorite angry British guy until we replaced him with an even angrier British guy, Simon Cowell.
And it's bad. It's not funny. You're not good at anything, and this is all your lips.
No, I'm not
Ian, I haven't
British
finished
person
yet.
tell me what an
Ian,
American
I haven't
Idol
finished
is.
yet. Okay, it's just rubbish.
They really did make the show what it was in the early seasons. Let's see what they do with them here. Oh dear. Randy. Dog. Where is your mouth, man? And is Paula wearing a shirt or just a vest? Oh boy. Oh boy.
Guys, I think we have a potential star here.
Oh hey, they actually speak. Like with actual sound clips. I expected them to be entirely text-based. I know the songs have actual vocals, but the lady who talks to you between rounds just uses text boxes, so I figured they'd do the same with the judges. But no, they actually talk. They praise you when you do well and berate you when you suck.
Oh dear. Let's hope your friends aren't watching this.
Well, the joke's on you, Paula. I don't actually have any friends. Can't help it, bitch. Now, we've talked about the judges, we've talked about the character creator, we've talked about the terrible music, though I really could go on about that forever. Just listen to some of this shit.
Must confess, I still believe. Come on, upside, inside out, living la vida loca. Like a virgin, touched for the very first time. Like a virgin.
Yes, that is Madonna's Like a Virgin, and yes, it is the greatest thing I've ever heard. I'm going to make that my ringtone.
Like a virgin, touched for the very first time. Like a virgin.
But the one thing I haven't talked about yet is the gameplay, which, seeing as this is a video game, is the most important aspect. And this is where the game really drops the ball, because I could maybe suffer through the awful graphics and the ear-melting music if the gameplay was good, but it's not. In fact, it's some of the lamest excuse for gameplay I've ever experienced. All you do is press buttons. That's it. There's a circle around your character and some button prompts appear at different times and you have to press them when the square is hovering over them. That's it. There's nothing else to it. Sometimes you press A, sometimes you press B, sometimes you press both at the same time. Sometimes you have to hold them down and... nope, that's it. 2 buttons. That is all you use. I know the GBA is pretty limited on buttons, but L and R don't even come into play here. Now you may be wondering what pressing buttons on a controller has to do with being in a singing competition. And to that I say... nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. You don't even press the buttons in time with the singing. I feel like that's what they wanted to go for, but it just never works out. Most of the time, they don't even align with the music. It's just button presses placed wherever the developers can be asked to place them. One of them even places a button at the very start of the song, like, whoa, excuse me, I was not prepared for that. There's no countdown or anything to the start of the song, you're just expected to go as soon as the screen loads. It's fucking bullshit.
I'm sorry, but that was just terrible.
There are plenty of rhythm games that are just about pushing buttons on a controller. Parappa the Rapper, Space Channel 5, Rock Band Blitz, but the difference between all of those games and this one is that in those games, you're at least pressing the buttons to the beat of the music, to the flow of the song. In this game, they just throw random button patterns at you with no regard to the beat or the singing at all. Every once in a while, they might line up, like in Bye 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 with the Bye 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 part. That's a rare exception. Most of the time, you just press buttons whenever the game wants you to. You can mute the game and play just as well with the music. In fact, you might even play better considering how terrible everything sounds. And for some reason, I can never seem to get the timing right. I think you're supposed to press it right when the button is in the middle of the square, but it just never seems to work, especially when you're supposed to hold the button. Not that it matters, this game doesn't matter. It's basically a Mario Party minigame they tried to stretch into a full game. At least some of the subsequent American Idol games were karaoke-style games where you actually sing into a microphone. I still think an American Idol game is completely unnecessary, but at least those make more sense. And you know, I looked up the PS2 version of this game that released at the same time to see if it was any better. Like, maybe the limitations of the GBA forced them to make the game like this, but nope! It's the same fucking game! It looks and sounds a little nicer, but you still just push buttons when the game tells you to. And again, it's not even to the beat or the words or anything. It's just random button presses. There's just such little effort, such little imagination here. It's astounding. There are 9 rounds in the main game, each round adding more button presses and increasing the speed at which the cursor moves around the screen. But it's still all the same shit.
You know what? That wasn't good.
It actually gets kind of hard towards the end, but to be fair, I wasn't trying very hard to actually, win. Why should I bother to put in any effort when the developers obviously didn't? Eventually, I did make it to the final round. I think it's because I switched to a woman and got rid of the terrible screeching male singer.
So come on, let me.
That's another thing I'll give the game credit for. Recording male and female versions of every song. They're still terrible. The woman might not be as bad as the guy, but she's still pretty awful.
If you wanna be with me, baby, there's a price to pay. Like a virgin, touched for the very first time. Even if I could, it'll all be great. But your picture on my wall, it reminds me that it's not so bad, not so bad.
Dear Slim, I wrote you, but you still ain't calling. I left my cell, my pager, and my home phone at the bottom.
No, I wish. This game isn't that cool. So after finishing the final song, a botched version of Jennifer Lopez's Waiting for Tonight, I am crowned the next American Idol. Wow. What an incredible win screen. Just as much excitement as the finale of the show. Totally captures the spirit of somebody seeing their dreams come true. Though, to be fair, I'm probably about as famous after this as half the actual winners. And that is American Idol for the Game Boy Advance. Look, I've played worse games. Hell, I've done videos about worse games. But this is just such a nothing game. There's nothing to it. It is a pointless, effortless cash grab that Fox commissioned some poor developers to shit onto the shelves in a hurry to capitalize on the fleeting success of their surprise hit show. I mean, if they actually did hire a developer to make this. The credits say actual people worked on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was just shat out by some computer program and the names of the credits came from a random name generator. That's how soulless this game feels. That I'm not even sure real living people worked on it. It's a complete waste of time. A waste of the people who made its time, a waste of anybody who actually bought its time, a waste of my time, and a waste of your time having to listen to me talk about it. I can't even believe we're both still here. You know, this is now the only Game Boy Advance game that I have complete in box. Like most kids, when I got Game Boy Advance games back in the day, I just threw them out. I just threw away the boxes. You know, you didn't need them. They were cardboard. Because, you know, in hindsight, they're collectible, but we didn't know that then. But, you know, at least I'll always have American Idol, the game. I could always set it on my shelf, look over, and see Simon Cowell's beautiful face staring back at me. The joys of being alive. What a fucking pointless game. What a stupid piece of shit pointless game. And, you know, the new American Idol, it's been back for a few weeks now, and I don't really know how well it's doing in the ratings or if people like it because I don't actually care. But, Katy Perry, one of the new judges this season, has already sexually harassed a contestant. And what she did is, in fact, sexual harassment. She kissed a man without his permission, and that is a form of sexual harassment. I don't care how pretty she is. I don't care how famous she is. I don't care if she did it as a joke. It's sexual harassment, and she needs to apologize for it. And it's gross, and I don't want to support American Idol. The show. Don't watch the show. Don't watch the new American Idol. Don't watch the old American Idol. Don't play this fucking game. Fuck American Idol. Now I have to fucking put it on a shelf somewhere.
Well, it all collapsed in the end, didn't it? What a complete disaster.
Like a virgin, touched for the very first time. Like a virgin, when your heart beats next to mine. Like a virgin,